Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, as long as you're over age 13, because the YouTube COPA guidelines requires me to explicitly say these videos are not for the youths that are under age 13. Today we have an absolutely wonderful story, and it involves the term LatinX, and the fact that even left-wing Democrats in the bluest of blue states are absolutely sick of it. So what we have is a bunch of Hispanic lawmakers in the state of Connecticut trying to ban this phrase from official government announcements and similar due to the fact that this is the most ridiculous and absurd thing, and it's actually pissing off a lot of Latino voters. And due to the fact that Hispanics are proving to be more in play, going more for the Republicans in 2022 than they did in 2020, more in 2020 than they did in 2016, more in 2016 than they did in 2012, the Democrats are scrambling. They're realizing that the woke commie losers are what's costing them, and telling a group of people that you hope to court that their language is dirty, filthy, and disgusting and needs to be corrected is obviously not a winning formula. But before we get into this amazing tale, a tale as old as time, Beauty and the Beast, this video is sponsored, which is also a tale as old as time because it's Noble Gold, one of the original sponsors of this channel. So I'm going to toss it over to them, bring it back over here, and we'll discuss it all on the other side. Noble Gold Investments is proud to let you know that gold was among the best investment classes in 2022. Whether it was stocks, real estate, crypto, gold outperformed them all. So what are you waiting for? Go over and visit noblegoldinvestments.com. They've helped thousands of people buy physical gold, and they're offering precious metals IRAs so you can help hedge your retirement against inflation. And if you sign up for a qualifying IRA, you will be gifted a 1/4 ounce American Eagle gold coin. It's absolutely wonderful for your collection and your hedging against inflation. Call them at 877-646-5347 or visit them at noblegoldinvestments.com.
Talking about this for years. I've heard former Representative Ed Vargas speaking about this at length. I hear Representative Minnie Gonzalez speaking about this at length. It's the day has come.
Representative Geraldo Reyes, along with 4 other Hispanic Democrats, introduced a bill last month in Connecticut to ban the term LatinX from the state's official language.
So first of all, I want to point out that the guy who brought this forward is Geraldo Reyes Jr., or as the left-wing social justice absolute losers would like to say, Geraldex Reyes Jr. And you notice that next to his name is in fact a D, because even the Hispanic Democrats, with the notable exception of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is totally bending over backwards to these woke losers, has had enough of this LatinX term, and they need to get rid of it because obviously it's alienating Hispanic and Latino voters, because this is a term used by academics, white upper-class progressives, and not by any Latinos at all whatsoever.
Let's eliminate it from government and higher educational levels.
So I like this for a number of reasons. One, it is the correct policy. Obviously, this is not a part of the Spanish language. It is the fetch of political terms.
That is so fetch. Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen, Gretchen. We don't like you. And it also shows a turn in the tide against the left-wing progressive agenda, because they've gone too far, they've overreached, they're now trying to tell people that they were previously telling that they were victims, that the language that they've spoken for generations is dirty, filthy, and disgusting, and needs to be corrected by a left-wing progressive wine mob.
The move comes after Governor Huckabee of Arkansas banned it on her first day in office.
Also, and I didn't know this, but Sarah Huckabee Sanders actually already implemented legislation day one, which is quite interesting, in order to remove this term from the lexicon of the official Arkansas government language, which really is interesting because I wonder if this will actually translate to some form of increased Latino support for her, as she did prioritize this as a top tier #1 priority. It is very interesting what's going on in this country in terms of Asians and Latinos, and it seems like the Republican Party is embracing it in such a way that they're not bending over backwards to, try to pander via immigration, but actually acknowledge that these people exist and point out and draw distinctions between what the Democrats are trying to force them to be and who these people actually are. So it's very interesting to see that Huckabee Sanders immediately did this. And it's interesting to see that Democrats, of course they're Hispanic Democrats, have had enough with this term completely.
Representative Reyes says the term is often misused.
People that are not even Hispanic at all come and just throw the term Latinx around because they sound woke or they sound like they want to be hip.
True. 100% true. The people who use this term use it not to describe actually Latino people. What they do is they use it in order to virtue signal to other people who are obsessed with the transes and the LGBTQs and all that, rather than actually knowing a Hispanic person. In fact, I would bet if you use the term Latinx, then your only interaction with Latino people is that they do duties around your house. You don't actually have any of them as friends. You don't speak the language or anything like that. I'm guaranteeing 9 times out of 10, this is the person who has that in their vocabulary, and that's who they think this people is limited to. Home workers and all that. It's really disrespectful when you think about it, but let's go to the polling numbers in case you were curious about whether or not this is actually a thing among Latino communities.
According to a survey in 2019, 76% of Latino adults had not heard of the term Latinx, and only 3% used it.
Almost no Hispanics use this phrase. I guarantee you that the people who actually use this are people who are generations away removed that are claiming some distant Hispanic heritage despite the fact that they are perfectly assimilated, only speak English, and all that. And if you think I'm being unfair, unkind, or whatever, I do want to point out that I'm a half Puerto Rican that only speaks English, and even I know that this is messed up, but my category of people above any other, my age range and all of that, are the only people who are Hispanic that are actually using this phrase. Period, point blank. It's a fact. There's no Hispanic grandmother that's like Latinxing on you, because that is not a normal sound in the Spanish language. X is actually X, according to my fiance, who, by the way, actually does speak Spanish. She's the real Puerto Rican in the relationship. And that's just how the language actually works.
The Spanish language is over 1,500 years old. It's a beautiful language. It cannot be altered and changed just to fit a narrative.
True. It's a beautiful language, over 1,500 years old. It is a show of the power of the Spanish, that this is one of the most dominant languages worldwide. It's used in Latin America, and what's great about Latin America is that they actually speak a purer form of Spanish in a lot of ways, because they didn't have that king with the lisp that, they had in Spain that ended up altering the language for that reason. So the idea that you in the United States of America, with all the wealth and success that we've had as a country, are going to go to these people in Latin America and try to correct their language because you find it dirty, really is a more reflection on you than anything else.
Language purity is one thing, but legal protections enshrined in government documents is important.
So first of all, Rafael Feliciano, if you're actually committed to the cause, then please change your name to Rafael Feliciano X.
Rafael Feliciano, an activist for Waterbury LGBT Pride, says inclusive terms allow his community to feel identified and protected.
I don't want to see the masculine O at the end of your name while you're trying to correct the Hispanic language because you're an LGBT activist and you think not speaking Spanish improperly is somehow inherently offensive to the transes and to the gayses.
I want to steer away from the very reductive and divisive down south Arkansas law that is just very homophobic and transphobic.
That is why he's trying to shift the conversation. Instead of banning the term Latinx, he wants to replace it.
I used to be a big proponent of Latinx. I've transitioned to Latine with an E at the end of it.
So I actually heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talk about these stupid made-up terms that the progressive left is trying to force upon the Hispanic population. And this guy's like, I used to be a big fan of Latin X. And then I transitioned to the even less known Latine, so that way I could be more progressive. I could still try to dirty up the Hispanic language. I could still tell people that I'm better than them, but I wouldn't do it in such a way that people are rejecting en masse yet. So I'm looking for other ways to try to fix this language. It doesn't need to be fixed. It's been functioning for 1,500 years, but Rafael, who won't even change his last name to Feliciano X, decided that he's gonna be better than everybody else, so he's gonna go with Latine.
Latine is a word that comes from Spanish-speaking countries in Central and South America. The term is also used to remove gender with neutral Spanish letter E, which can already be found in words like estudiante, which means student in English.
And it's my job as an activist from this city who identifies as Latine, not LatinX, Latine now, to go to the state capitol and let these 5 folks know, hey, we have a word that defines us.
So here you have this guy who's like, it's my job as an activist, as somebody who still has that same I'm better than you kind of energy, to go to the state capitol and say, listen, I'm not Latin X anymore. I'm going to use this thing in order to solve the problem, and that's going to be the thing that's going to fix it. I mean, the majority of Hispanics do not use this phrase, even though the E actually does function in the Spanish language, unlike the X. It's still not a thing. They could say, oh, we found a guy in Central America to suggest this in response to the stupid X thing, but no, you're not impressing anybody, and credit to this Connecticut state representative, again, a Democrat, for standing up to your nonsense.
On the other hand, Representative Reyes says there is already a gender-neutral term in Spanish.
To anybody who doesn't believe they're Latino or Latina, they can use the word Latin, or they can use Latino, which is neutral gender for everything.
Respect, purely and obviously. This dude's like, you can say Latin, like that's what you can say. That's an English language thing. What you're trying to do is trying to use an English language infection into the Spanish language. You don't have to try to pollute it. You could just say it in the English way. But also, let's be clear about this. I'm not backing down at all. Latino is what covers everything. You're wrong if you disagree with that. Not, oh, it's up for debate. Not, it's a conversation. You're just wrong. So shut your face. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to correct this in our Connecticut state documents. And I'm all here for it. I'm all here for everyone realizing that this nonsense is not flying among Latinos, showing them a bit more respect, and the panic among Democrats, and the battle, by the way, between more liberal Democrats with more progressive Democrats over this nonsense.
And we know there will be a hearing open to the public in the next coming weeks for all those who'd like to attend and voice their opinion.
Look, if you're in the state of Connecticut and you have nothing better to do, I mean, if you have a single thing better to do, then don't worry about it. Then go down to that hearing and actually shut down the progressive woke activist who's trying to pollute the language in a different way, because the first way that he tried was a complete and utter failure. I am on board with you. I think that you should do it. If I get good clips of people shutting this down at the state legislature, I will play them on my channel, because honestly, this thing needs to go away. This thing needs to die. This thing needs to get deported. It needs to be sent over the seas. Unfortunately, that's a thing that started in the American universities, so its origin point is here, which really should just go to show you that this is not something in demand by actual Latinos. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social medias, support me via the support links in the description box of this video. This has been me talking about another stupid debate related to Latin X. Till next time.